Okay, so we are live on both Instagram, not Instagram, but Facebook and YouTube. And Facebook has changed their thing, so hopefully I'm doing this right. But anyway, so welcome to a conversation about the pandemic that's going on right now and about social distancing. Um, I'm gonna wait a few seconds to see if anybody wants to join, and then I'm gonna jump right into it. And I invite questions, comments throughout this, and I'm hoping that I'm actually live on both of these platforms. It looks like I am, but if not, then I'll just post the YouTube video in the Facebook group because it looks like I am live on YouTube. But anyway, so I just wanted to come and make this video because it was requested of me by somebody in the Instagram group. And so please be interactive. For those of you who have not viewed any of my lives before, I'm Ashley Hart. I am the person that's over day-to-day social work. I do all of the tutoring and all of the posts and all that kind of stuff to keep you updated about everything dealing with social work. So I'm gonna jump right in because I know people, well, I guess people really don't have a lot to do. So, but anyway, I'm gonna jump right in because maybe you do have stuff to do. But I'm gonna do a disclaimer. I'm not a doctor at all. So I know we're going to talk about stuff that's related to medical, but I'm just giving a disclaimer. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. So this is not medical advice. This is just a discussion about what's going on. This is not a political discussion. It's not a political debate. We're not going to talk politics. We're just going to talk about current events and what's going on in the world today. So also, the focus of this live will be to be realistic and optimistic. So if you followed me for any amount of time, you know that I am not a pessimistic person. At least I try not to be. And so we're going to focus on realism and we're going to focus on optimism. And then also, these are just my views. These are not law. These are not fact. Well, I'm going to speak from factual information, but like these are my views. This is not, the concrete word and all this other stuff. So I just want to put those disclaimers out. I do have a slight cough, so I might be coughing. I have a cough drop, so if that bothers you, sorry. But okay. So just some housekeeping things. I just want to welcome everybody who has joined the Facebook group, who has joined Day-to-Day Social Work for reasons of following just all things social work, for tutoring, for exam purposes, for all that's going on currently. Welcome. I will make a welcome post in the Facebook group. Day-to-Day Social Work is on 3 platforms. We have an Instagram page, we have a YouTube page, and we have a Facebook page. So join us on all 3 platforms. I think we have about 4,300 subscribers on the YouTube page, and then there's like a little bit over 200 on the Instagram page, and then there are nearly 3,000 on the Facebook page. So this is a network of colleagues across the country. So please, please, please use Day-to-Day Social Work for all that you can, not just for exam purposes, but also for purposes of, just all things social work. So another thing, Social Work Month was last month, March. March seemed like a very long month. I don't know if I'm the only person that felt that way, but March was so long. And with all that's going on, it felt even longer. But I just wanted to say happy Social Work Month again, and just continue to do the work that you do. You are appreciated, especially in this day and age when we're going through this pandemic. I don't want you to feel overlooked because I know some of our jobs do sometimes make us feel overlooked. But just know that you are appreciated and that your work matters and that you matter. And then lastly, so for Social Work Month, we had the $85 special on the 60-day pre-recorded tutoring series. That special is over. Moving forward, the regular rate of the tutoring series is normally $175, but I'm going to do COVID-19 discount, and it'll only be $100 from now until April 30th, and it'll be 75 days access as opposed to 60 days access. And we can talk more about that later. You can email me, but this is focusing on the pandemic right now. So, okay. And then also, I'm planning on seeing if I can connect people to a pandemic partner, a pandemic pal. Like if you, because honestly, and we all should know this as clinicians and as social workers, a lot of people are having very difficult time coping with what's going on right now. And like I said, we have colleagues from all states in the country and all across the country. So if I can connect you to another person that's in your state, or if it's somebody who's not in your state, then I will definitely try to do that. If you are interested in having a pandemic pal, then email me, and my email will be in the description box on YouTube, and it'll also be on Facebook, everywhere, like always. So that's another thing that I wanted to offer to you all as just another resource, because some people, everybody copes differently with stuff like this. I'm an introvert, and so being at home all the time is nothing new to me. It's just, being forced to be here is new, because I do like to go places on the weekends and stuff like that. But, some people are very extroverted and they like to go and they like to be out, and it really bothers them. And this is a scary thing. And so people are anxious and afraid and stuff like that. So if you want a pandemic pal, then let me know and I can see if I can help you with that. Now, I'm going to focus on, and I have a lot of notes that I've been collecting over the week. So I promise this won't be a very long video, though. Like, it will hopefully only be an hour or less. So we're going to talk about news and facts. We're going to talk about some realism and some optimism. We're going to talk about what you can do. And of course, a lot of this stuff, is stuff that you probably already know, or stuff that you may have seen in the news, or, just watching social media and stuff like that. But some people don't watch the news. Some people don't like to keep up with this kind of stuff because they'd rather not know. And so this is going to be a very light way of giving you information without all that heavy stuff and commentary and all the other stuff that you see on the news. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to say, of course, as I was just saying, is that ignorance is bliss. A lot of people just don't want to deal with what's going on with the pandemic. They don't want to watch the news. They don't want to believe that this is a serious thing that's going on. They just don't want to deal with it. And so growing up, I would always hear people say, ignorance is bliss, ignorance is bliss. And I never really knew what that meant. Of course, I know what it means now. But even more so, it makes more sense in this situation, because as long as you don't know what's going on, and we know that ignorance is a lack of knowledge, then you're blissful, because you can continue on in your bubble and going about day-to-day life and nothing changes for you. But some people don't realize the impact that can have on other people. Their ignorance can have on other people. So I just want to encourage everybody to make sure that you stay up to date on what's going on, even if you don't drown yourself in it. And I hope that you don't drown yourself in the news and into all the social media articles and the videos and all that kind of stuff. Now, with that being said, I do think that we need to stay up to date on facts, and we do need to know what's going on. But the more that you absorb all of this stuff, the more that you start to get anxious and you start to get worried and you start to get afraid. So we need to take things seriously, but we don't need to dwell on all of this stuff. So that's the first thing, is for me, I like to stay up to date on news articles, on resources, and I'm talking to you all as social workers and clinicians, because that's what we are. And we are looked to for information, for resources, but for information, because the doctors are doing their medical thing, the nurses are doing their medical thing, and then social workers, we're supposed to know about the CARES Act, and we're supposed to know about all of the local resources and the unemployment and these bills and policies and all this kind of stuff. So make sure that you keep yourself up to date on all that's going on so that you can pass this information along to your clients, to your patients, to families, or to whoever it is that you work with, and to know for yourself and for your family. So for those who don't know, I live in South Carolina, in the upstate of South Carolina. I stay in Greenville County. And so it's been in the news today and yesterday, I believe, that Greenville County is the most traveled county in the nation, and was the most traveled metropolitan county in the nation right now in this pandemic. And that means that people are just out and about like nothing is going on in this county, and it's out of the whole nation, out of the whole nation's metropolitan cities. So that kind of is a little scary. And I stay in the house pretty much 3 to 4 days at a time. I only leave the house to go to the grocery store, or I go home to visit my family, and not even to visit, like to just drop them off food and stuff like that, because I don't want them going out and risking and stuff like that. So I go home, which is only like 30 minutes away from here, to just check in. And I went home today, actually. And today I actually have on regular clothes because I had to go to my job to sign some paperwork because they changed our schedules and stuff like that. But yeah, so Greenville County in South Carolina is the most traveled place. So it is kind of scary. We do have almost 200, maybe 150 or so cases. And when I went out today, people were out and about, and I had never seen so many people out at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the daytime before this. And I'm like, wow, so people really are just out, and I don't know what they're doing. They could be going for essential visits. But it was just kind of shocking to see, because like I said, I'm always in the house for 3 or 4 days at a time, and to just go out and see that people are just still out is just kind of shocking to me. But so that's that. Now, again, back to being informed and making sure that you have accurate information. There are a lot of false articles. And also, I'll just say this about what's in the news, and I've also been watching the briefings from the White House and stuff like that. This is something new for everybody. You keep hearing people say this is unprecedented, and it is, because this is something that we haven't lived through in our lives. Some of our parents haven't lived through in their lives, and maybe even our grandparents haven't lived through in their lives either. So this is unprecedented, and it's something new. And so make sure that you understand that everybody is learning about this stuff all together. And there's always information that is contradictory to other people's information. So you have doctors and scientists, and you have government officials and those kind of things. And sometimes information is contradictory. So we have to keep in mind that this is something new, and just try to stay up to the most accurate, factual information that you can find. If you're going to Google articles and stuff, make sure you try to find articles on websites that end in .org or .gov or .net. But even more so, make sure that you look at the CARES Act. And I'm gonna put links to a lot of information on the YouTube description box, because I found a lot of stuff and I've wanted to share it in the Facebook group, but it's so much stuff that I wanted to put it all in one place. And so if you have any information on any of the new stuff, any news resources or the CARES Act, or just any accurate information that you want to share with the group as a whole, then make sure that you post that in the Facebook group, or send me an email and I'll check it out and post it. So then also, we talked about knowing your limit. Now, social media is it's a very good tool during this time, I think, because, people are stressed out and stuff like that. But if you get on social media, you'll see a lot of positive stuff. You'll see a lot of people encouraging everybody. I've seen people going live and reading books in case people want their kids to just do something different, have a book read to them by somebody online. I've seen a lot of DJ parties online because people can't go out. I've seen a lot of memes, a lot of challenges. And so I think social media is very helpful during a time like this. But then you have a lot of videos and articles that are just not factual, and you have a lot of stuff where people are trying to scare people. You have people reposting things that are not true. And so social media is like a catch-22. So it's like a double-edged sword. So make sure that you are getting good information. And like I said, know your limits. Like I really got a little anxious yesterday because I look at the news all the time, and I get alerts on my phone during the day while I'm working, and you see all these numbers about the people who are suffering and who didn't make it and stuff like that. And it's like I got really, really anxious. And so I was like, okay, I got to back off of this. I've had to unfollow or mute some people on my Instagram because they constantly post negative stuff. And no, I know my limits. So social media is something that I'm not going to do for a while because I know my capacity to handle mentally, to handle seeing all of this stuff. So I'm just gonna designate a time to look at news, and it's probably gonna be in the morning and at night. But throughout the day, I'm done with the social media because it's not conducive to my mental health. So make sure that you know your limits. Let's see. And a lot of us are working from home. I already work from home, so that's why I don't really feel like my life has been too interrupted because I'm used to being at home anyway. But a lot of people aren't used to working from home. This is a new concept for some people. And then there are some people who can't work from home. And those are the people that we also, as always, as we should always, not just with this pandemic that's going on, we should always recognize those people who are on the front lines, doctors, nurses, social workers, health coaches, all of those. But then also these essential workers who work in the fast food industries. We have environmental technicians who help clean the hospitals. We have people that work, in CVS and Walgreens and Walmart and grocery stores and all these places. These are people who aren't afforded the luxury to stay at home and work from home. And they're being asked to, and sometimes they have no other choice but to work in these conditions with the same amount of pay, and risk their lives, essentially risk their lives because of the pandemic that's going on. And I keep referring to it as pandemic because on YouTube, they're kind of iffy about saying the C word, we'll call it. So we're going to call it pandemic, but we all know what I'm speaking of. But yeah, so just be mindful. And I've been thanking them. Like I'm not out there like that, but when I do go like once a week to the dollar store or to Walmart or the grocery store, and I just thank them for being out here in this mess when they don't really have to, but they kind of have to because that's their job and their livelihood and their lives depend on it as far as being able to feed their family and afford their bills. So we just need to recognize them and acknowledge them. But then back to the people who do work from home are also, some people are struggling with this because if you're like me, I'm an introvert. I don't mind working from home at all. I prefer it. I don't think I would ever want to go back into the office unless I'm working for myself when I start my clinical practice. But it's an adjustment for a lot of people. So I've seen some people say that they still get up in the morning and on their usual schedule, they take a shower, they get dressed, and they sit at the table and they work as if they were at their office. Me working from home for the last 3 years, my schedule hasn't changed. I get up, I might exercise, take a shower, I get in bed, and I do my work from bed because that's just what I'm used to. But even some people have said that they will even leave their house, drive around the block, come back home, and walk into a separate space in their house to go and do their work, because they need that routine, they need that structure. So if you're one of those people who you're struggling, if you work from home right now, you're struggling with that, then try a routine like that, and try to, stay in your routine, get up, take a shower, get dressed, do your hair, do your makeup, whatever. Leave the house, go around the block, go a mile or so, and then come back home and do your work. So that's what I've gathered from a few people. And some people are like, please get me back to work. I don't like being at home. Get me out of here. And I don't blame them, because if that's what you like, then that's what you like. Okay. Now, it's very important. The CARES Act is what I want to talk about too. I'm not going to go into detail about it, because I want you to go and look at it for yourself and for your family and for your clients and the people that you serve. So the CARES Act is the Coronavirus Aid Relief Economic Security Act. So CARES is an acronym, and that's what it stands for. So in the CARES Act, and like I said, I'll put a link down in the description box to direct you to this stuff. And I'll put links where they kind of summarize it. And I'll also put the link to the actual legislation. So if you're one of those people that like to read everything down to the T, then I'll put that on there too. But the CARES Act has the information about the stimulus package that they're going to give. That information, which most of you probably already know, is that most Americans are going to get the $1,200 for being a tax-paying American, and to help boost the economy, to go and to help with bills and stuff like that. Everybody's not getting that. If you make over a certain amount of money, then your stimulus package is decreased. And then if you make over an even higher amount of money, you don't get anything. And then there's people who get Social Security, disability, and things like that. They can receive the stimulus as well, even though they don't file taxes. So there are some things that you really need to go and look at that on your own, to be able to read it and interpret it for yourself and to understand what's going on. Also in that act is some information for small business owners, for unemployment. So for unemployment is done separately by states. And then with this CARES Act, you have the federal government is also pumping in money into the economy through this unemployment portion of this act, where in addition to whatever your state pays for unemployment, and every state is different, and I don't know the requirements. I've never filed for unemployment. I may have to within the next few weeks or so, and I might give an update on that whole process. But in addition to that, the federal government, by way of the CARES Act, will also pay out $600 a week for unemployment. And then it also mentioned an additional, I think it was 13 weeks after the unemployment is over. Like, I don't know how to word it because I'm not really sure. But read the act, and all of that's there. So make sure that you check that out. And there's other information in that act about Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance, and immigrants, and all that kind of stuff. So be informed. Like, that's the best thing you can do at this point, is just be informed. Okay, now let me see. Any questions? Let's see. Do what's best for each other. I'm looking on Facebook, and I don't see any questions. Any questions on YouTube? Nope. Okay. So, all right, back to this information again. And I thought I was actually I thought I was talking to my day-to-day social work people on Facebook, but I'm actually on my regular Facebook page going live. Didn't really know that until I just looked at the comments. But yeah, so anyway, maybe I need to go into my day-to-day social work page. Let's see here. Okay, so anyway, we'll post the YouTube video from here on this. We'll continue on. All right, so now the next thing also is that we're going to talk about being realists and being optimists. So the reality of the situation, one of the major realities is that domestic violence is on the rise. And I don't know if you have or haven't heard about that, but it's been all over the radio and everywhere that domestic violence is on the rise. And as social workers, we have to know the resources. We have to know, we have to be on top of this kind of information. So if you work with that population, or if you work with any population, it's highly likely that over the next few weeks that you will see some things related to the increase in domestic violence because of the pandemic. So just be aware of your local resources, because even if you don't work directly with survivors of domestic violence, sometimes you will come across people, survivors who are in that situation, and you need to know the local resources. And then also, of course, we have hunger on the rise. We have people who are still out there that need services like mental health resources. And a lot of the, especially here in the state of South Carolina, there are a lot of departments, state departments of mental health that are closed and closing. And the thing about that is people aren't able to access resources like they usually do. And so a lot of the people, I'm sorry, I'm really distracted by this Facebook thing. Hang on one second, let me see. A lot of the Department of Mental Health and other agencies across the nation who provide resources such as this is, so I really did have a little audience going on here. But anyway, so a lot of people across the nation are, a lot of agencies across the nation are going to telehealth. So please make sure you know those resources as well. And like I said, I'm talking to people from all across the nation right now. So make sure you are aware of the resources in your state and in your city and in your county, because there have been, even with the licensing board, they have come out with statements saying that they were going to be more lenient and use more discretion towards clinicians who are using telehealth therapy, because we can't go out and be in person with our clients. So a lot of these agencies are kind of not necessarily being lax on HIPAA laws, but because we're having to move to online therapy, they understand that sometimes stuff might happen because of technology. And that's also in our code of ethics, which was amended a couple years ago. So make sure you know the differences and you know the code of ethics and what goes on with the code of ethics as far as technology and social media and all those things. And speaking of social media, there was a viral story recently about a lady who's a nurse who quit her job on social media, and she regretted it. So that's another thing. Things are hectic. People are stressed out. A lot of stuff is going on. So just make sure that you know, and make sure that you realize that if you get into a situation, especially if you work for a healthcare system or just anywhere, and you get stressed out and you feel like you've been done wrong, and you might rightfully so believe that, make sure that you think. Don't run to social media, because it might sound like a good thing at first, but then, you know, when you calm down, you come down from everything, you don't want to be that person who is being regretful because they made a snap decision to go onto social media and vent and lose their job and, your reputation also is at jeopardy when you do stuff like that. And so, especially if it goes viral, then people will feel like, hey, I don't want to hire her. I don't want to hire him because, if they feel wronged, then they're going to put our organization on blast. And then the lady also had on her badge for her work badge that had the hospital that she worked for on it. And so that's kind of like 101. That's a no-no. But yeah, make sure you know what your policies are at work when it pertains to social media, not only the code of ethics and our social work standards, but your job's policies as it relates to social media. Most hospitals have that policy. I would think that most government agencies, but even if your agency doesn't have a policy like that, just make sure that you know that you can't get on social media and quit your job and bash your company and call out names and that kind of stuff. But y'all know this. I mean, well, I guess some people don't know, but we should know this. We're professional social workers. We should know this. Okay. And then also, I had seen also that the homeless in Vegas, some homeless individuals and some individuals that are homeless in Las Vegas are being made to sleep in a parking lot in squares or rectangles 6 feet apart from each other. And people were very upset about that because they have all these hotels that are empty, but yet they're making the homeless sleep outside. And I'm not saying all of Las Vegas is doing this, but in that one article that I saw, that's what was happening. And so people were wondering why they couldn't make an exception because of the pandemic and, let some people live in some hotels for the time being, because it will help slow or stop the spread of the virus. And that's a population that we should definitely be worried about too, is the homeless population. I mean, they are already vulnerable and at risk of viruses, infections, diseases, because they don't have access to some don't have access to clean water and healthcare and that kind of thing. And so, it would seem like we would have resources in place to kind of help them. Well, not kind of help them, but to help them, especially during a time like this, because it's easier for not only this virus to spread, but other things to spread. But I don't know. I mean, to be in this country and to have the resources that we do, sometimes I don't think that we use them to the best that we could. But hey, what can we do? And then also another realistic thing is that, yes, people are not surviving this virus, but there are plenty of people who do. And there are numbers on several different outlets, several different websites that you can watch, interactive numbers, live numbers globally, where you can see the number of people who were diagnosed, the number of people who have recovered, the number of people the news is always like, if it bleeds, it leads, if people die, then the news will fly. Like, how they have those little sayings and stuff like that. But they post like the positive stuff. And I won't say never, but sometimes it's the more scary stuff that they talk about and that they post. And I understand that we have to be realistic about this, but also like we should give people some hope as well and post more of the positivity of people recovering, of people. And I've seen people talk about their recovery, and I've seen people talk about their symptoms, and that 80% of people diagnosed will have mild symptoms, and that people are surviving and stuff like that. But I feel like we should have more of an equal balance of that kind of information. So let's see what else is on here. Let's see. And we'll skip that. And then also there are some people on social media who make it a point. I saw Dave Ramsey, who is, the financial guru, posting on his Instagram page about and also citing sources of positive information, vaccines being developed, and people donating this and the timeline for that, and just a lot of positive information. So if you can, try to follow some of the more positive stuff out there as well, other than just the negative stuff. Try to give yourself a balance. Like, we need to be realistic about everything, but also optimistic. And that's the theme of this tonight, as I said from the beginning. So another person I saw was Sean King on Instagram. He's very active. He's an activist, but I had to mute him today because he was I thought I had put this on Do Not Disturb, but people are calling and everything. But anyway, he posts a lot of negative stuff. And I won't say negative stuff, but it's a lot of realistic stuff. And it just got too real for me. I had to mute him because I'm trying to remain optimistic in this. So, find people who are posting optimistic stuff as well as realistic stuff. Let's see what else. Another realistic thing when it comes to bills. So I've seen several articles, videos, all this stuff about bills, and your rent's due, your mortgages due, your car payments due, your student loans are due. We know that this stuff doesn't just stop because of what's going on, but there are a lot of companies who are making accommodations, deferring payments, giving forbearances. A lot of places are, well, actually, and again, I don't want to speak for the whole entire nation, and I want you to look this information up yourself, but there's information out there about people not being able to be evicted, which is a good thing because, most Americans, from my knowledge, are living paycheck to paycheck. And it's becoming even more realistic that we're seeing that now with this pandemic, how factual that is. So a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. And when something like this comes up and you lose your job, they're not being able to pay their rent, their mortgage, their car notes, student loans, credit cards, and that kind of thing. So I've seen a lot of people posting about, my student loan is deferred and I don't have to pay my rent this month and I don't have to pay this and I don't have to pay that and all this and all that, which is great. But please, please, please read the fine print, make phone calls, encourage your clients to do so as well, because people are out here making videos and telling people, hey, don't pay your rent, don't pay your mortgage, don't pay your car note, and all this stuff. And I really just think that some of that is really bad advice, because even though there are accommodations being made, you have to know what the terms are. And some people never read anything. And when they go and buy a car, they sign the paperwork. When they go and buy a house, they sign the paperwork. When they go and get a loan, they just sign the paperwork. They don't look at the interest rates. They don't look at what the terms are. They don't look at the fact that, yeah, we might defer your payments for 3 months, but at the end of that third month, we need all 3 of those payments immediately at the beginning of that 4th month. So it's great that these agencies and companies are doing this, and people who need them should take advantage, but encourage yourself and your clients to to read the fine print, call places, because and it might be common sense to some of us, but some people just don't think to call, to read before they sign. They just hear, oh, I don't have to pay my rent for 3 months, and they just don't do it. They don't check into it. And I mean, literally, people don't check into stuff. They just don't. It's mind blowing to me because I'm very cautious. I'm a Capricorn. I'm very cautious. I'm very detail oriented. I have to read everything before I sign it. And some people are just free spirited and they don't have a care in the world and they don't care to read anything. So make sure you encourage people to read the fine print, make the phone calls, see if the phone call is being recorded, because if it is, then you have a record that somebody told you, hey, yes, we're going to defer your payments for 3 months, and we're going to put it on the back end instead of saying, hey, at the end of 3 months, you need to pay all of this at one time. And so I think a lot of people need to make sure that they understand that, because I've heard stories of people saying, yes, I called the place and they're going to put it on the back end of my loan, the 3 months. But then other people are like, hey, I called the place and yeah, they're going to defer it for 3 months, but I have to make all 3 of those months payments at the very end of the 3 months. And if you don't have it to pay, then you don't need to sign that paperwork, because you're going to be in even bigger trouble than you were before. And some people just can't. But if you can, and if it makes sense for you to continue to pay your bills, because you don't want to be worse off. And this is information for our clients too. I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking as a social worker to social workers. And, you know, just make sure that you pay attention to all of that. Now, as far as student loans, federal student loans, not private student loans, this is also information that you need to make sure that you look into and understand. The federal student loans have gone to 0 interest for a period of time. I don't want to give you the end date because I don't have it in front of me and I don't want to give misinformation. But if you have a federal student loan, and all of this is spelled out in whoever your loan servicer is should have this information. But if you have a federal student loan, they have put the student loan interest rate to 0 for a certain period of time. You need to call your loan servicer and find out. They're also offering deferments and forbearances. I called to my loan servicer earlier this week because I have a federal student loan and I'm also in the public service loan forgiveness program. And so I wanted to know, you know, if it comes to me not being able to pay, what happens? I was able to pay mine this month, and I'm going to pay as long as I can because I'm in the public service loan forgiveness program, and you have to make 120 qualifying payments. So for me, and this is just me, for me, it only makes sense for me to continue to pay my student loan because I can, because I planned for it. Because if I hold off on it, then it's only going to put me behind on being able to get my loans forgiven after the 10-year period. Now, if I'm not able to, then I can call them back and say, hey, I need a deferment. But for right now, and I don't know what the future holds, I was able to pay it. I'll probably be able to pay it next month, and I will. But everybody's situation is different, so move accordingly. Please make sure that you call places, because what else are we doing, y'all? We're stuck in the house, we're quarantined, and we need to handle business while we have the time to handle business. Okay, so read the fine print. Also, another realistic thing is that some people just don't take this stuff seriously. Some people are just, like I said in the beginning, ignorance is bliss. They're just doing whatever they want to do. They're coughing and touching stuff. And just be cautious. Be cautious. That's all I'll say on that. All right. So that's the realistic part of it. Now let's talk about some optimistic stuff. So this too shall pass. That's what we need to focus on. And I get anxious. I got so anxious looking at these articles and stuff yesterday, and that's why I had to limit myself. But this too shall pass. There have been pandemics before. You have the 1918 flu pandemic, I think it was, that they talked about on the news. You had the H1N1 swine flu in 2009. We've had pandemics before. I don't even remember it being like this with the swine flu. I remember, hearing about H1N1 and stuff like that. I don't recall it being like this at all. But, there's an end date to this. We don't know when it will be, but we know at some point this will be over. And that's what we have to keep in mind. Like, one of my mentors used to always tell us, begin with the end in mind. But that was related to like college. It's like, okay, we're going to begin grad school with the end in mind because we knew that we were going to start this year, and we were going to do 3 years, and it was going to be over. Not quite that simple with this, but make sure that you know and understand that this too shall pass. Like, this will be over. Think about 6 months from now, which will be what? We're in April. It'll be October. Now, hopefully by October, we'll be back to regular life. If not, we'll still have to figure out how to be optimistic. But Donna A says, nothing never has happened in my lifetime. Right. So this is unprecedented for us, as I said in the beginning. So just be optimistic and be realistic. Like, we don't know the end date, but we know at some point this will be over. And so that's one way to look at this. We've overcome a lot of stuff in life, maybe stuff that's not as serious as this, and some stuff that might have been even more serious than this to some people, depending on what's happened to you in your life. But we've overcome a lot of stuff in our lives. And that's one thing that we should keep in mind, that this too will pass. Let's see. Okay. So now another thing is to look at perspective on things. So a lot of people are like, oh, I'm stuck at home. I don't have anything to do. I can't go anywhere. I can't go out with my friends. I can't go to spring break. I can't go on my vacation to Italy. I can't go on my cruise. I can't. And that's true. But if we look at this from a more optimistic scope, it's not that we're stuck at home. We're safe at home. We have a home to be stuck in. Some people don't have a place to go. We have shelter. We have a lot of essentials. Donna says she loves working from home. Me too. But we have a lot of essentials. We have light, we have water, we have food, we have shelter, we have clothes, we have internet, we have Netflix and Hulu and all this other stuff. So instead of seeing it as, oh, I'm stuck at home, be grateful that we have a home. Be grateful that we have somewhere to go to. Be grateful that we're safe. And all we're being asked to do is to sit at home. And I know that's hard to do, but this is something that we can do, y'all. Like, we can sit at home. Another thing, instead of saying, oh, I'm gonna miss my appointment with the doctor, or I can't go and have my teeth whitened, or I can't go and get my braces done. I've been wanting braces, or I can't do this and I can't do that. There are virtual visits, probably not for, well, of course not for braces and stuff like that, but a lot of healthcare systems are offering virtual visits, free virtual visits online with a special code that you can see a doctor, you can see a nurse, you can see a provider. So here in the state of South Carolina, we have Prisma Health, we have MUSC, which is the Medical University of South Carolina. Like, a lot of these places have opportunity for virtual visits and, again, the online therapy. So we have a way to still be able to make our appointments. So that's another positive thing. And this is stuff that you can share with your clients. Again, oh, I'm going to miss spring break. I'm going to miss summer. I feel the same way. Like, I'm looking at it like that too. Like, oh man, I done shopped and bought these clothes for summer. And, I plan on going and traveling and all this stuff. And now, I bought these clothes for nothing because we're not going to have a summer and blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, that may be true. But, this is something that, like I said, it will pass. And we might have a little bit of summer. We might, or we might not. And if not, it's okay. Like, we have spring and fall, we have fall and winter, and we have next summer. God willing, we have next summer and next spring, and we can plan, we can save up. If we're still fortunate to be working and stuff, we can save up for those things for next year. Again, this too shall pass. There is an end to this. So let's see. Another thing, people are saying and are afraid and worried that they might get sick and that they might die. Realistically speaking, looking at statistics and numbers, like, again, most people have very mild cases. From the information that I've read, 80% of people have mild cases. And if you have that mind frame where you might get sick and something might happen to you, then you can control your actions. Remember that you can control what you do. Social distancing, staying in the house, being prepared, taking your vitamins and keeping your immune system boosted up, and using other methods of contact, social media, FaceTime, doing different things that you can control. And hopefully we don't get sick. Again, most people recover. Most people have mild cases. Realistically speaking, we could get sick and something could happen to us. We've seen it happen to other people. But again, this is about perspective, and it's about self-preservation, doing what you can do to help preserve yourself and your family by doing the things that you can control, such as, like I said, washing your hands, not touching your face, which I just did. I washed my hands when I got in, so I'm good. But yeah, perspective. Another thing, people are saying, oh, well, I'm going to run out of tissue. I'm going to run out of food. I'm going to run out of soap. I'm going to run out of cleaning supplies. But tissue was scarce in the very beginning. I went out today to get some laundry detergent and stuff like that. Cleaning supplies are in abundance. Tissue was there. Laundry detergent was there. Soap was there. I think that most people are over that wave of buying up all the toilet tissue and all the stuff. Now, there was no Lysol in the place that I went. There was bleach and stuff like that. So I think that, some people are not hoarding as much as they were a few weeks ago. But, and also another thing about that, a few weeks ago, we saw people fighting over tissue on YouTube, on Instagram and Facebook. We saw people just doing a whole lot of stuff, fighting elderly people over tissue in the grocery store. I mean, come on. Especially when you already have stuff in your cart. Just people, this is what people do when they get afraid. They panic and they do stuff like this. That's what we kind of have to try to contain and control. So, try not to do that. Try not to hoard. And then a lot of grocery stores and places are putting limits on the amount of stuff that you can have, including meat. Like, for me, going to the grocery store now is an event. Like, I woke up at 6 o'clock, and again, I work from home, so I normally don't wake up to 7:45. I woke up at 6 o'clock. I think it was Monday or Tuesday, and I had a plan. Like, I wrote down what I was going to get from the grocery store. I planned on going as soon as they opened. I knew what I was going to get. I didn't want to be in there for a long time around all these people and stuff like that. Have a plan. Write down your list. Know what you're going to get. And expect that you might not find what's on your list. I had a whole menu planned out of what I was going to cook for the week. And I had my list, and none of the stuff that I needed the most was there. So I had to regroup, And so, I went and got the essentials. I got a lot of meat because I know that I have a lot of canned goods and frozen vegetables and stuff like that, but I needed meat, I needed bread. And so I went and I got up early in the morning and I went to 3 different grocery stores. And I even went to one where it was senior hour and I didn't even know it. And I felt so bad because I didn't know until I was already in there. And it was like from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And then I was in there and I saw the sign and I was like, oh no, I'm in here doing senior hour. And I felt bad because here I am young, and then you have all these older people in here. And I was like, well, I won't get a lot of stuff. I just got like 2 little packs of meat, and it's just me. So I didn't get a lot of stuff, but I really did feel bad. So also know when your grocery stores, senior hours are, because we know that our seniors are our most vulnerable population, and we want to be fair to them and let them have a chance to be in kind of a germ-free environment and stuff like that. But, So let's see what else. Another thing that I talk about with my supervisor, because I'm still doing my 100 hours of supervision. Another thing that I talk about with my clinical supervisor is radical acceptance. And so that's one thing that I think we need to practice is radical acceptance, where instead of worrying all the time about everything, we need to understand that we can't control everything. We have to have radical acceptance that this is what it is. And all we can do at this point is wait it out and see what happens. Well, not that's not all we can do, but all we can do is what we can do as far as being clean, staying away from people, staying at home, not going out and partying and going out to eat because some places are still open. But we need radical acceptance that this is beyond our control and we need to focus on the things that we can control. And I saw there was a comment. It says, "Hi, Ashley. It can be mentally draining, especially with teens and kids. Some states have already closed schools for the whole year. I work in the school district and have a teen daughter." Right. So here in where I live, they've closed down schools for the rest of the year, I think. And, kids aren't going to be able to graduate. They're not going to be able to have their prom or their senior trip, take senior pictures. Well, they may have already taken senior pictures last semester, but, they're not going to be able to have prom and graduate and have all of those milestones that we had as teenagers and as seniors and stuff like that. So, it can be mentally draining, like Life of Amelia said. So that's where we need to practice self-care too, because it's kind of, for me anyway, it's kind of easier in the beginning, but now that time is going on, it's getting a little difficult to kind of cope, and everybody copes differently. Donna says, "I work with high school students who are worried about prom and graduation. I try to keep them focused on the bigger picture. It's a big time for them, 2020. Right. And, maybe some kind of way they can make that up. The school districts and stuff can make that up for those kids over the summer, or maybe even somehow in the fall. Maybe they could have a winter graduation or something like that. So I'm hoping, and I'm pretty sure they will, because they got to graduate at some point. So let's see what else. Now some other things. It says, "But we've been enjoying the homeschooling so far and practicing self-care, do-it-yourself projects, saving and utilizing resources. Thank God I chose social work. We are much needed." Exactly. Okay. So another thing, a list of things that we can do to stay safe. And I'm almost done. We're going to talk about things we can do to stay safe. And then we're also going to talk about things that we can do during this time. So, of course, this is mostly stuff that you've already heard. Wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. And the 20 seconds needs to be your hands under the water, not just you lathering the soap and stuff like that. So wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. Clean the high volume, high touch areas where a lot of people are touching the doorknobs and the cabinet knobs and the oven handle and the refrigerator door and all that stuff that you already know about. Again, they are recommending that we don't touch our face, our eyes, our nose, our mouth, our entryways for the virus. It's very hard for some people, including me, because I touch my face. Not a lot, but most people touch their faces. But try not to touch your face, especially if you're going out. If you're at home and you're clean and you're washing your hands, I believe you would be fine. What else? Staying safe. Disinfect your cell phone. Of course, your cell phone is probably one of the most germ-infested things that you have, because we take our cell phones everywhere. We take them into the stores. We take them into the restrooms. We take them everywhere. We have them in our back pocket. We have them on the floor. We have them everywhere. We are constantly touching them. We're swiping, we are dialing, we're texting, our hands are all over the place. Other people's hands are on our phones. It's just a dwelling for germs. So make sure you disinfect your cell phone. And then also, after you touch your phone all these times, you put it up to your ear, it's on your face, it's on your mouth. Some people hold it on their chin when they're trying to do, I mean, it's just, make sure you disinfect your cell phone. Make sure that the sanitizer that you're using is 60% alcohol or more. Um, and I'll leave that up to you to go and do that research on that. Make sure you get your vitamins in, your vitamin D, your vitamin C. We know that vitamin D also comes from the sun. So make sure that if you can get out, like even though we can't go anywhere, you can still be in your yard or walk up and down your street. There's a big parking lot out here. I'm in the sunroom in my apartment, and there's a big parking lot that people are always walking back and forth, jogging, walking their dogs, getting out, getting air and stuff like that. And so, if you are able to do that, a lot of the public parks and stuff are closed, but if you can find somewhere where it's not a gathering of people and you just want to get out and enjoy the time to yourself, like walking is therapy for a lot of people, jogging, exercising, then do that. If you can, try not to use cash. Cash is dirty. We already know that. People put it in their bras, their socks, their underwear. They're touching it. They're putting it everywhere. People have it in their mouth. Like, if you can, use a card. A card is going to have germs too, but probably not as many as cash. And you can also clean your card lightly with alcohol. Try not to touch the elevator buttons, door handles in public places, keypads, and when you're signing your name, when you're paying for stuff, try not to touch that. Another thing that they're saying to keep us safe is not to go to church. A lot of churches are going to online services only. You have some churches that are doing drive-in services where they are projecting the sermon on a screen, and you go in the parking lot and you view service that way. There are, of course, you may have heard churches who are still welcoming their congregation to come to service. I'm not one to tell people what to do, but if you want to risk going to church and being around hundreds of people with this pandemic going on, probably not a good idea. So I advise against it, but who am I? Who am I? So also take your own pen, because pens will hold germs as well. So if you have to go somewhere and you got to sign for something, just take your own pen, because we hold our pens, we put them in our mouths, we put them in our ears, we put them in our hair, we put them everywhere. So make sure you have your own pen. Let's see, somebody had a comment. I have seen social gatherings at local Dollar Generals and Walmart. It's sad people don't take this seriously. Right. Exactly. People are all over the place just hanging out like nothing is going on. And I'm like, maybe I'm just a fearful person, but if somebody is telling me that something that I can't see is out there that could potentially harm me, I'm not trying to go out there and risk trying to, being in it. But that's just me. Some people are free spirits. They don't care. Whatever happens to them happens. And that's just how they roll. But others of us are more cautious. Let's see. Don't blame others. So we saw the xenophobia that was present, and it's probably still present, and it's always present for the most part for some people in this world. But don't blame other cultures and ethnicities and stuff for what's going on, because at this point it's an individual person thing. Because like I said, at this point, people, doesn't matter who you are, race, color, gender, none of that. People are just going out and putting themselves and other people at risk. It's not one group of people. It's not one demographic. It's not one culture, nationality, or any of that. So we don't need to be blaming other people and being hateful and stuff like that. Of course, no cruises. Don't take your kids to the playgrounds, because, of course, kids love to play on the slide, and they have germs, and they sneeze and they cough and they slobber all over the toys and all that stuff. It's just not a good place. Let's see. Oh, paying $100 for a little bottle of hand sanitizer. Don't do that. Like, okay, so I went online and I was looking for some surgical masks because I do want to give my family and myself some masks so that when we go out, we can protect other people. They say the masks don't really protect you from getting anything, but it helps you to not spread if you have anything. But in my mind, I'd rather have something covering my face because it just makes it like if you are just going out into the public and you breathe in you breathing in air, I just feel like, dang, is the virus in the air? But I feel like if I have something on my face, then I at least feel like I'm being shielded. Even if it's not gonna help, it just would make me feel better. But yeah, so try not to get online and pay, $100 for a bottle of sanitizer or a box of gloves or whatever, because a lot of scammers are out there and people are price gouging and they really shouldn't be. And so don't let anybody take advantage of your fear or of your cautiousness. Don't do that. What else? Also, oh, and I ended up getting 50 masks off of eBay and I paid like $26 for them. So, I mean, I think that's reasonable, given the fact that other people were paying so much more. But a lot of our masks come from China. A lot of stuff in the US comes from China. And it just really amazed me that I couldn't find anything here in the States. And so I was like, got me to thinking about other stuff and how we produce stuff here and how we produce stuff in other countries. Also, make sure when you go out, you request people to back up off of you. Back up off of you and give you 6 feet. Give you more than 6 feet. The farther away you can be from people, the better, because they're saying that this thing is airborne and it can be from people just talking and breathing. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's something that they said earlier this week. But definitely you don't want to be all up on somebody and you don't want someone all up on you. And so, just make sure that you tell people to back up off you and give you some space because you need it. We all need it right now. Don't go visit the elderly. Be stern with your family, because I've seen a lot of people, their parents, you may be the parent, their grandparents and stuff, who are just like, especially older people, they don't care. Like some of them don't care. Some people feel like, hey, I done lived my life. I ain't scared of no virus. I don't care. Whatever happens, happens. And it's not that they don't care about giving it to other people or catching it. They are just at peace with where they are in life and they just feel like whatever happens, happens. So make sure that you let your family know how important it is to stay safe, and to keep other people safe, and do it in a loving way, and just let them know that you are concerned about them and not that you're trying to be mean to them, but they need to stay at home, and stay in the house. Also, checking for fever was another thing that you can do to stay safe, because a fever is your body's reaction to fighting off an infection. And so if you have a fever, that's something that you want to monitor, and in case you have additional stuff going on. Let's see. And knowing the ranges of what a normal temperature is versus one that's high. So make sure that you know that, and you watch out for the signs, which are the symptoms and the signs, which are a fever, aches, chills. What else? A fever, aches, chills, sneezing, coughing, a shortness of breath is another one. And then also cook if you can. They're saying that it's safe to eat fast food because it can't be transmitted through fast food. But if you can stay at home and cook, then try to do that, because it limits the exposure of us to people who are working in the service industry, it limits them from being exposed to us who are just out here, you know, living and trying to stay safe as well. And you know, it's nothing better than a home cooked meal. So, and then lastly, I'll just go through this last list real quick. It's just, you know, stuff that we can do that we've already said and that, you know, we probably already know, but some ideas that people might not have. Go for a drive, you know, get in the car. It's spring. The trees are, of course, growing, flowers are blooming, pollen is out, but go for a drive, enjoy the scenery. Go for a drive at night, look at the stars. Gas is low. Take advantage of gas being low and just go for a drive. Stay around your unit. Like if you and your spouse or your mate or whoever, or if it's you and your kids, or if it's you and your family, your husband or wife or whatever, or if it's just you by yourself, stay with that group of people and don't invite new people in, and don't let your family go out with other people. But go for a drive. Have a playlist of songs that you want to listen to. You know, that kind of thing. Also, read a book. Audiobooks are out there. Hoopla is an app where you can get free books to read on audiobook and ebook. You just have to have a library card. Journal, watch Netflix, exercise, walk, jog, play board games, break out the Monopoly, break out Scrabble, break out whatever board games, Sorry and Yahtzee and all those games we used to play in our younger days. Play sports in the backyard. I've seen kids while I'm driving playing frisbee, grown-ups playing frisbee, throwing the football, stuff that you don't see because these kids are always sitting down somewhere playing a video game. Try some new recipes. Clean your house, disinfects everything. It's spring, do some spring cleaning. Do church online. Listen to music. Music is another form of therapy. Art is a form of therapy. Do something, get yourself lost in what you enjoy doing. Let's see what else. Get involved in social media challenges, social media DJ parties. All these things are out there free. Don't binge watch the news, the bad news, because it gets your mind into a bad place. Shop online within reason. Now, don't go out there swiping that credit card and getting into debt. But, you know, if you got it, go and take advantage of some of the sales, the free shipping that they're offering right now. Support a local business. Like if you do want to go and get something to eat, support a small business in your community, in your city, in your town, instead of going to a chain restaurant. Let's see. There are online comedy shows that I've seen, the DJ parties. Do a facial at home. Do a spa day at home. Give a massage to your mate. Get a massage from your mate. Do a scalp massage. Like all of this stuff is just stuff that we can do. Of course, teach your kids, homeschooling your kids. Teach them life skills. Teach your son and your daughter how to cook. Teach your son and your daughter how to change the oil, how to change a tire. Teach them how to balance a checkbook. Teach them about money, you know, that kind of thing. Know your local resources. Donate blood. It's a very high need for blood donations. Most of the time when you donate blood, they give you t-shirts, they give you gift cards, they give you tickets to the movies that we can't use right now, but we'll be able to use at some point. What else? Call your family and friends. I do a nightly call with my family every night, and it's on Facebook Messenger, and it's like 4 of us every night around this time actually, so it's almost time for me to get off, but around 8:30 every night we do a video call. And it's good because my aunt and my sister live in North Carolina. My mom's down there. I'm up here. Like we do a video call every night. Let's see. Okay. Volunteer to do grocery drop-offs for the elderly. They'll do that where they pack your car with groceries and then you go and drop it off to the elderly. People have those kind of volunteer things going on. Order food online and have it dropped off at your door. Let's see. Self-care, paint a room, paint in general. Learn a new language, learn American Sign Language. I started doing that at the beginning of the year. I kind of fell off, but there are different things online that are free. YouTube is free where you can learn a language, learn sign language, learn a new skill, um, do a puzzle, move your furniture around in your house, go to Hobby Lobby and do some arts and crafts, listen to podcasts, make jewelry, wash your car. For me, washing my car is therapeutic. Like, I like to go home to my actual hometown and wash my car because I don't like washing my car here because it's too fast paced. But if I go to my little small town where I'm from, I like to wash my car, hand dry it, vacuum it out, and just listen to music, spend time with myself, plant a garden, binge watch Sunday socials, binge watch day-to-day social work Sunday socials. Just saying, there's a lot of good information in there, and do an online date. If you have a significant other that you can't be with because y'all are in different places, do an online date. Get dressed because we've been in the house, right? Stuck in our t-shirts and pajamas and that kind of thing. Get dressed up, do your makeup, do your hair. Guys, cut your own hair, do whatever y'all do, and do a video date. Cook or just get something to eat and just do one-on-one video date. So that's that. And I'll just end with, don't let other people get you too worried or too anxious. And then also don't let other people have you not cautious enough as well. So let me see. I think there was a comment. I'm going to plant some herbs and vegetable plants along with flowers, which I usually don't have time for. Just getting back to the basics. Exactly right, Donna. Right. Any questions or anything before I end? Questions or comments? I'm going to put some links in the description box too on the YouTube video. Okay, so I don't see any questions or comments. Just remember, everybody copes differently. So, just because you might be calm and other people are freaking out, don't judge them for that. Or if you're freaking out and other people are calm, don't be offended that people are feeling some kind of way because you feel some kind of way. Life of Amelia says, I've been doing my nails, saving money. Exactly. I done painted my nails. I've been doing my nails. I broke a nail earlier today because I was going to get some milk from my mom. It was waiting in line. I had 2 gallons of milk and I was trying to hold both of them. I ended up dropping one of them and my nail broke off and started bleeding. So, and these are my real nails. So, but yeah, do your own nails. I've been doing my own hair, doing little braid outs and stuff like that. Do your hair, do your nails, back to basics, like she said. Now, so we'll end this. If you have any comments or anything, just leave them in the comment section. And like I said, remember, everybody copes differently. And, just stay safe. And who said this line? Was it, I think it was Jerry Springer. In the words of Jerry Springer, until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. I'll see y'all in the next video.